I'd like to call the meeting of the public schools of Robertson County Board of Education in the session at this time. Ms. Brenda, you're on there for invocation, and let me ask you, before you do say anything, understand we lost a student that graduated from Lumberton Senior High this year, Mr. Matthew Sessoms. Understand there was a car wreck, I think, yesterday, and he was involved in it and lost his life. So, like I said, seems like we always go through this in the summer, but a very recent graduate, 2021. So could we have a moment of silence for him and his family? And then Ms. Furby, if you will lead us in prayer.
Let us have a moment of silence, please, in reference to the deceased party. Amen. All-wise Creator, the author and finisher of our faith, we thank you, dear Father, for placing us on a platform that we well deserve. And we realize that delayed is not denied. And we thank you for choosing your chosen vessels to lead the school system forward, that we might be an example to not only the state of North Carolina, but the school districts nationwide. Therefore, we ask you to continue to guide our every thought, our every being, that we might be vessels continuously fit for the Master's use. Now, in this meeting, dear Father, we ask you right now to have your way. Bless us collectively, individually. Bless every household in our district. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Bobby Lockley as Assistant Superintendent, and I think this is his first meeting in that capacity. So, Mr. Bobby, we're glad to have you. Also, so we're going to have board chairman nominations. Mr. Grady will take care of that for us in just a moment. And I'd just like to thank everyone for this past year. I think we had a pretty good year. We had a lot of stuff to do. And I remember some comments made about this stuff called virtual learning. And do we go to school or do we not go to school? We can sit here and talk about all the things we dealt with last year. And I think we come up one night and said that was the hardest thing we dealt with, and probably the hardest thing we dealt with in years. We don't know what we're going to deal with it this coming year.
Amen.
Things are wanting to start to change again. But I'd like to thank the cabinet and all those here that's involved with the central office and the board members. We had a good year. My comment to you as board chairman, I feel like I could pick up the phone and call any of you at any time about anything. And that's important when you're sitting here at this seat. I thank you for your support and what you did last year, and Dr. Williamson for his leadership. I appreciate that too. So this time I'll just say thank you, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Grady.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The floor is now open for the nominations of board chairman.
I nominate Mike Smith,
I second.
board chair.
There's a nomination and a second for Mr. Mike Smith as board chair. Any other nominations?
Mr. Chairman, I move.
Is there a motion to close nominations?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
A motion and a second to close nominations. All in favor of closing nominations, if you would say aye.
Aye.
Looks like by acclamation, Mr. Smith is now the chairman. Mr. Smith, do you want me to handle the vice chairman nomination for you?
That's fine. Go ahead while you're sitting there.
The floor is now open for,
I'm all right.
He's free.
Mr. Speaker, I nominate Brenda Fairby as vice chair.
nomination for Ms. Fairby as the vice chair. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second for Ms. Fairby as vice chair. Are there any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate John Simmons.
There's a nomination of Mr. Simmons. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second for Mr. Simmons. Are there any other nominations? We'll vote in reverse order. All in favor of Mr. Simmons, if you'll signify that by raising your right hand. 5 votes. All in favor then of Ms. Farabee, if you'll raise your right hand. There's 6 votes. Farabee is the vice chairman.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Support. Certainly have a heart for this work and for students, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm gonna hold your chair to start. Excited about the opportunity that we can continue this work under the leadership of this united board, from the vice chair, say the same thing. It's for and about our students, and we can unite. I'm excited. Before we get started, first of all, I commend Chairman Lowry for the job he did do through this pandemic. We had a very trying year. As he said, I think he could call each of you individually or collectively, and we all had our eye on the end goal of making the public schools the best they can be. I believe in the public schools of education. I've been here a long time. I believe in it. I believe we got a good board. We've got a good staff. I think we got a great superintendent. It was one of the best moves happened since I've been on the board. I've been here 32 years, and I'm excited about where we're headed, how we're going to get there collectively as a group. I did have a little health issue recently. Some of you reach out to me, and I appreciate it. If I was including me in your prayers, I want you to know that I appreciate that too. I do believe in prayer. I do believe that prayer changes things, and I believe we have a good board, and I'm excited about serving you for the next. You have anything?
I'd just like to thank our board for being one of the best boards that I've served with in 25 years. We've always had good staff. And I truly thank God that when it looked like the sun wasn't shine for us anymore, that God gave us a rainbow in the cloud. Dr. Williamson, you're that rainbow that turned our district around. The board members are also the ones that help turn our district around. And I thank each of you and all of our staff for helping to put our children on a platform that the state of North Carolina has never seen before. God bless.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? Terry?
I'm glad to have you as the chair and vice chair, Ms. Brenda, Mr. Mike. I would like to make a request that Mr. Gentry and the policy committee consider getting a policy where we can have a chair-elect position and maybe make the process from when we transition to a new chair to make that transition a little bit smoother, because that would maybe create some more synergy between the entire board moving forward. So I'm requesting that Mr. Gentry, maybe in the policy committee consider doing that.
Anybody else? I'm glad you mentioned committees, Terry, because my intentions right now, I'll go ahead and make that public. I don't only plan to change any of the committees, the ones that are serving as chairs, Mr. Gentry and Dr. Emanuel and whoever's serving on the grievance committee. My intentions are to leave the committees as they're instructed. What I would like to do, being I'm the chairman, is I was chairman of the finance committee. I'm going to ask that Mr. Craig Lowry serve as the chairman of the finance committee, and the other chairs will stay the same. That's my intention. This time we'll get into the agenda, the adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, before there's a motion on that, I'd ask the board under action. I know by poll vote of all the board, we've retained Baker Donaldson to help us with our FEMA appeal. I just asked the board to officially vote on that as an action item.
Baker Donaldson,
Baker Donaldson.
FEMA.
That's the FEMA appeal.
Everybody's familiar with that. Everybody's familiar with the FEMA appeal, I hope. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Is that gonna be at the top under action
Make
item?
it-
The first,
After the monthly financial report.
okay.
Mr. Chair, at what point in time will we start a discussion about how we will open the school year? Would that be in August, or should we start the discussion now?
We've started,
Mr. Superintendent?
we've started the discussion internally with the cabinet principals, but we officially had that conversation starting early August. We're in the process of updating reentry booklet. And so we may ask for a call meeting. We're kind of watching the variant and see what it's going to do to get a little bit closer to that. But we will officially have that conversation in August, but we're already working on it.
Thank you.
Also, I'd like to address the public comments. We'll be starting school back very soon. I know we have some people that are individuals late last month missed the deadline, and some people don't know all the procedures, but at the July meeting, the August meeting, I think we'll go back to public comments, the 3 minutes where they can get up and speak. So I just want to make that, I asked Grady about it, and Grady, starting back, it'd be a good time to do that. So if you listen, you want to speak, you sign up at the, before the next meeting, we'll grant you the opportunity to speak. Anything else?
Make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Have a motion second to adopt the abbreviated or revised agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Have a motion by Randy to approve the open session minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion about the open session minutes? All in favor of that, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. Who seconded that motion?
Mr. Gentry.
We'll get down to the information items now. Driver driven to excel recognition. Dr. Freddie Williams.
Let me ask Dr. Lockley if you'll come up and hope if you'll come up. I just want to say thank you to Lumberton Honda, West Point Home, Piedmont Natural Gas, and Beasley Media Group for really being true partners to the public schools of Robertson County in support of our Driven to Excel effort. Truly, a lot of folks say they're partners, but these partners have really shown up and really made an investment in the lives of our students. So let me ask Dr. Lockley, and we have some questions.
Yes, sir. Chairman Smith, Vice Chairman Fairby, and to the board members and to our guests, thank you for this opportunity. But this is our third year giving away a car from Lumberton Honda, so we are proud to be partners with them, along with, like Dr. Williamson said, with Piedmont Gas, with West Point, and with Beasley Media Group. So the public schools of Robertson County would like to thank Lumberton Honda, West Point Home, Piedmont Natural Gas, and Beasley Media Group for their participation and partnership in the third annual Driven to Excel event. Driven to Excel is an event that recognizes and celebrates our Robertson County High School seniors that have excelled in the classroom, as well as maintain a stellar attendance record. This year's raffle prizes include items for students' future dorm rooms, scholarships for college tuition and books, and the big prize, of course, was that brand-new 2021 Honda Civic, which was sponsored by Kent and his great team over at Lumberton Honda. Again, we would like to thank all the sponsors for their investment and commitment to our students in the public schools of Robertson County. And at this time, we would ask our sponsors to come at the front here, but I don't think they've made it yet, but we're still going to recognize them. They were scheduled to be here today, so Lumberton Honda.
Well, Mr. Chairman, can we hold this presentation?
Sure.
Till they show up and
Yeah.
we'll stop and come back.
We're working back in, yes, sir.
Working back in.
Yeah.
Because we would like to recognize them, because like I
They
said,
plan to be here.
signed up for our fourth car giveaway next May. So we just appreciate all that they do for us. So
Are you expecting somebody from Lumberton and West Point?
yeah, they committed to Mr. Hunt that they would be here, so they're probably.
All right. So the next item is Piedmont Natural Gas. Is that under,
That's all.
The same.
Same one.
It's all the
Thank-
Mr. Mike, yes.
it's all the same, okay. So the next item on the agenda is UNC Pembroke Quarterly Update, Dr. Lloyd Floyd.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So good to be here with you again. Thank you so much for extending the invitation for the UNC Pembroke School of Education to come and provide some information and updates for you. Beautiful slides there. Let's see. Dr. Lockley called and asked that I give some information and updates about our partnerships, our current partnerships with public schools of Robeson County. And so what I planned for you tonight is really a comprehensive update. If you have not already received the slides, or maybe everyone has received the presentation that was sent to you. Quite a few slides, I'll move through them, and you're certainly welcome to follow along. If you don't have them, we'll make sure that you have them at the conclusion of this presentation. I'll start with a little information about UNC Pembroke, kind of about where we are and what we're doing right now as it relates to preparing the next generation of teachers, school counselors, and social workers, and administrators. We'll talk about some mental health initiatives that we have, and we'll also talk about some academic initiatives that we have currently going with the public schools of Robeson County, and give you some updates about our future opportunities. So when I think about where we are now, wanted to share some strategic priorities that my leadership team has developed. We've shared these out with some of our local superintendents, and we'll be continuing to share throughout the next academic year as we flesh out these strategic priorities. They are our PK-12 partnerships, as you see listed here, student success, curricular redesign. We're also focused on diversity, equity, and social justice, and faculty staff support. Those are certainly in line with the work that you're doing here in educating our PK-12 students, and they also are aligned with mental health, our goals as our leadership team, and accountability, and all the other pieces that you see popping up here. These lead to the grants that we apply for, and they are data-driven decisions that assist us with recruitment and retaining students throughout our educator preparation program. We continue to talk about UNCP. We wanted to highlight some numbers for you. You see that we have 319 UNCP students applied during this academic year. We're able to increase that number because during COVID, the restrictions for formal admission to our EPP were waived by the state. So we've been able to increase the number that are in the pipeline. And we have 25 initiatives or projects directed ongoing directly with the public schools of Robeson County. That information was self-reported and collected by our faculty across the entire university, and we report that information out to our North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. We also are currently involved in the Literacy Framework Initiative, and that totals $200,000 in grant support from the system office. We'll be sharing more information about that moving forward. We're really, really pleased with our Grow Your Own initiative and some collaborative planning that we have going on with the public schools of Robeson County. The leadership team met recently to continue planning and to really talk about the strategic priorities of your district and how they align with the priorities of what we are working toward with at UNC Pembroke. So as this slide shows, we have currently 185 residency licensure teachers here in your district. So as we go to the next slide, this is one of the highlights that we'd like to share with some initiatives that we have, federally funded projects in producing Native American teachers and Native American principals. We have that partnership exclusively with Robinson County, and I believe Hope County is also a partner, but we find the majority of our graduates are employed here or seek employment with this particular district. I noted a collaborative planning meeting that we had a few weeks ago, I guess maybe just a month ago now. And you can see representatives of your district here, some key members of your leadership team invited over to our campus. And we talked about what's happening with our curriculum pieces, our advisory board. We're happy to have Dr. Freeman and Miss Billy Jo, I don't know if she's here or not, serve as a member of our School of Education Advisory Board. And one of your teachers, Zach Jones, currently meets with us monthly reviewing our curriculum and governance strategies. And we're really pleased to have these folks be a part of the work and the planning that we're doing in preparing teachers. The next slide gives you a snapshot of our field experience in student teaching. These are requirements in preparing the next generation of teachers, and the majority of our students are placed in public schools of Robinson County, hands above any other district. We go on to talk a little bit more about our student-teacher interviews. This was something new that we started this year, and we extended invitations to our partners. I'm going too fast, let me know. We extended invitations to our partners to participate in an interview for those who are moving from early field experience to student teaching. Student teaching is really that final snapshot, that final time for us to mold and shape what's happening with our teachers before they enter the field, before you interview them for employment. And we extended out invitations for our partners to come in and do interviews virtually. And overwhelmingly, we had a phenomenal response to that invitation, and we'll be continuing with that in the coming year. So we'll move on to talk a little bit now about mental health. Is that lovely picture there? Doing what he does best, right? This snapshot was from the collaborative planning meeting that we had a few weeks ago. And certainly we know coming out of COVID, mental health continues to be a major concern. Dr. Freeman shared the district's mental health plan with us. And you know that this past year, we provided the services of gaggle for the students here and the families with PSRC, and then follow up with Dr. Freeman. She notes that the process is going really well, that we're getting useful information from that, and that information is then used to better inform the services and the provisions that we're providing for the students across the district. And the wonderful thing about that is it is indeed K-12. It goes across the spectrum. And our next mental health update is something that we believe you're all aware of, our school counseling and school social work departments. School counseling has a district-wide training initiative, and you see the funding that's attached to that project. We had some turnover with our school counseling folks, and we're restaffing that particular program, but we're continuing to work to provide that professional development for your folks here. And then the next slide goes into some additional information about school counseling and school social work as it relates to the funding opportunities and the collaborations that we have going with those pieces. I'm gonna breathe a minute, and we're gonna continue to talk about mental health, another snapshot here. We are offering mental health first aid. We've already offered a couple of sessions and extended the invitation for your folks to join us in mental health first aid. I kind of think of it as CPR, kind of that first, what do we do as soon as we see that there are some triggers or some things that need to be addressed. My staff, all of my faculty and staff in the School of Education will be going through the training in August. And we are inviting our public school partners to go through the training as well. We'll be hosting that on our campus, and it's absolutely free through a grant provided with the Office of Counseling on our campus. So any questions about mental health, and then I'll jump right into academics. Okay.
I think the only question, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
there will be no charge to our staff for joining in that training, correct?
That is correct. There is no charge for mental health first aid, and lunch will be on your own. When we jump over to academics, the last time I was here, we talked with you a little bit about the Math One project. My Associate Dean Lisa is here with me, and she's been running point on this particular project and collaboration with Dr. Locklear and the folks with the district curriculum committee. And we're really, really excited about what we're going to see with the results coming out of the Math One project. We ordered some things as of yesterday, so we're continuing to take care of our financial commitments with that, and we'll monitor the data and continue to analyze what's happening with the Math One project. We also this year, one of our faculty members in the Department of Science worked with one of your employees here, Sorelda, I hope I got that right, Godwin, on the Migrant Education Community Teaching Garden. And that's something that has been happening for some time now, for a period of years, and we're really excited that we're able to continue to do that with the children here. This year, even in the midst of COVID or coming out of COVID, we're able to continue to provide that service. When you think about some future opportunities, you may have heard with our future opportunities, that's Dr. Zoe, she says hello. With our future opportunities, with the Teaching Fellows Program is returning to UNC Pembroke. Actually, we were with Dr. Williamson, Dr. Locklear, Dr. Freeman, and some other folks on the leadership team when we got the news that it will be continuing. We've appointed an interim director, Dr. Leslie Locklear. She'll be getting the program off the ground running, and I just had a meeting with Dr. Locklear and our budget folks, so we are making sure we have our responsibility covered as it relates to funding those initiatives that would include travel and some of the other wonderful incentives associated with the UNC Pembroke Teaching Fellows Program. So as we flesh those out, we'll be working with your principals here at Cornell Swick and Lumberton High School on what we can do to ensure there's a pipeline to make sure folks are ready, our students are ready to apply to the next cohort. So kudos on that piece. And then the last few slides. Yeah, Branch Alliance for Educator Diversity. We are applying for a $400,000 grant to transform our teacher preparation program. It is fully aligned to our accreditation standards. The first slide I started with the strategic priorities. This project is aligned to that. And we have a designated person, don't remember? Dr. Freeman. Dr. Freeman, thank you. Dr. Freeman, so much going on, that is assisting us with this particular project. A portion of the $400,000 will be designated to the public schools of Robeson County as you partner with us in improving our program, which ultimately improves the products that you get to hire. So we're really excited about partnering with Branch Alliance for Educator Diversity. And then we have a Becoming a Brave Educator initiative. And my wonderful colleague here from Robeson Community College is here. We just had a signing agreement. So we're really excited about what this will produce for folks who already have an associate's degree currently, or folks who are coming in from community college, making sure that there's a seamless transition. We have a semester of dual enrollment included, and we also will have specific academic advisors on hand to assist the students with tuition and all the things that they need to navigate UNCP and be able to do that successfully in 2 years to become a teacher. So we're very excited about that particular piece. Next, we have an update. Let's see what's coming up next. Yeah, TA to teachers. I'm looking, and our TA to Teachers program. Our TA to Teachers program, as you know, the state funds current teacher assistants employed across the districts in North Carolina to finish up their teaching credentials at a university. So we've designed a program that will allow our teacher assistants to finish in 2 years and 2 summers. The program highlights hybrid classes being available online for them, and a summer intensive program. We bring them to campus, kind of like adult summer camp. And we immerse them in our museums and our libraries, and we have wonderful guest speakers coming to meet with them so that they'll be able to get finished. Now, all of these initiatives are aimed at producing more teachers. We know there's a real sense of urgency around that. So we're being innovative, really creative in our thinking about how to do that. And then one of our final slides before I pause for questions is about our UNCP PSRC partnership for COVID research and the return to school. So those are conversations I believe that have come before the board before, when we worked with vaccination sites and providing thermometers and standing equipment. Certainly anytime funding comes across my desk, I've told Dr. Williamson and Dr. Lockley and your leadership team here that the public schools of Robeson County are our first priority. And we are delighted to be able to have all of these initiatives going with you, and we look forward to so many more. Just know that we'll be calling, we'll be coming over, we'll be collaborating, we'll be visiting, and if you tell us no, then we'll go away. But if you don't tell us no, we're here. We're here for the long haul, and we enjoy partnering with you. Any questions?
I don't have a question, I have a comment. Did I jump? Excuse me.
Go ahead, Dr.
Maybe I understand what you said, and I appreciate all those programs. They're valuable and needed. I just need to ask a question. Do you do anything with elementary and middle school that would, I know you recruit teachers and that's critical, but I'm talking about the instructional program. Like, I'm thinking about something like Back to Basics. Like, you would be shocked at the number of children, grown-ups, teenagers, and beyond that cannot read a ruler, cannot tell time because of the digital watch. Have you ever thought about something like spearheading or targeting at a grade level and going back to basics, the UNCP coming in doing some kind of program and providing those rulers, providing those, I heard you say thermometers a while ago for the COVID, but doing something for the elementary children, some kind of partnership?
Yes, so we are entering agreement with the UNC System Office to improve literacy and reading, the science of reading. So we have an agreement with that, and we have $200,000 coming out of all of the system schools. UNCP is one of the 4 that was selected to participate. We're excited about that. I met with my team just yesterday, and we are putting together a proposal to start a center, an innovation center for rural education, outreach, and professional development. Now, as long as that title is, that's how much money we're gonna need to run that center. But we believe we're up for the challenge, and we know that we have the data and the statistics that supports an initiative like that in this area. So part of that would not only work toward pre-service, it would include our K-12 students, it would work with our graduate population and our adult population, all the way to retirement or post-retirement, right? Anyone who wants to engage in that center with the research and the work that's happening would happen in a really an innovative way. So we collaborate with our Office of Continuing Ed and Outreach, but it would be housed right here in the community and available in a technological remote format as well as in person. One of the pieces we have that we are going to incorporate and tap into are the mobile units that we have on campus with the College of Health Sciences. They've been purchased and they're available, and we've talked about stocking them with books and heading out to elementary schools and kind of having these rolling camps, right? That we're available to read to children, we're available to do reading assessments with children across the district, and they can be very focused. It could have a math focus, or it could have a reading and literacy focus. Right now, our nursing department uses them with a health focus, but they belong to the university, and it's really up to us to be creative in how we're using them and when we use them. We could use them for back to school nights and be available when children come back to schools and have them staffed with our interns and our faculty. Really, the sky is the limit. I'm so glad you asked that question. Let's continue to have those conversations, and if you have specific ideas, my staff and I would love to meet with you to talk to you about how to flesh them out.
Any other questions? I got Mr. Jensen and Craig, and then Terry, you had your hand up, Terry.
I'm very interested in the TAs, the teachers, program. I think that is an excellent idea. And is this a relatively new concept? How long has this been going on?
So I would say we had a program like that prior to me arriving. The initiative with the state is not new. It's been funded. What we've done, and my leadership team and talking with PSRC, is come together to figure out what were the challenges with that program? Why was it not working? And what can we do about it? Because we know that it's a very viable pathway to teaching. And so what we've attempted to do is to remove those barriers by offering hybrid classes, by having a cohort of teachers that will come to campus on weekends so that our TAs don't have to work all day and then drive up to campus from wherever, right? And then drive back home and figure out dinner and homework and everything to work the next day. So we're trying to change what it looks like in order to make it more attractive and more doable for this valuable workforce that we have here. They live in our community, they shop in our community, they're not going anywhere. So why not capitalize on that commitment and help them be fully credentialed teachers? So I think the difference is, Mr. Gentry, is that we've taken a different spin on it.
I think that's.
Erica has some comments to make too.
I'm sorry to interrupt too, but Mr. Gentry, we have been using those funds from the state for at least 3 years now. We get to fund 5 TAs annually to participate, and they each get $4,500 or $4,600 to go to school. And our HR department has interviews with those TAs currently employed that are interested. So we're going on our 3rd year, and it's continuing, and we are expanding that as part of our Title II budget. We're going to add an additional 5 employees to supplement the 5 with the funding we get from the state.
Super. I think that's
Yes.
great.
Erica, you said the 5, how do we come up with those 5? I mean, do we have a list, a waiting list, or what?
So Human Resources actually looks like an interest, and then they have interviews where they pick the 5, and they have criteria. I'm assuming it's based on who's closest to achieving that degree and some other criteria. Ms. Thompson maybe can elaborate on that part.
Yes, so we advertised throughout the district, and then we had an extensive panel of people to apply. And Ms. Collins Fault, when she was here, had a committee, and they interviewed each person that was interested, and then we selected from there.
So once they go through the program and go from TA to a teacher, is there any commitment to the public schools of Robeson County?
Not based on the current legislation. The state funds that amount, and there is nothing written in the statute that says they have to commit, but most of them have already been TAs in our district for several years. So far, we haven't had any of those that have committed to leave. They all are still here, and they have converted to become teachers.
Okay. That's interesting. Mr. Craig?
Dr. Floyd, everything you said sounded good. And I would just like to add that with RCC, with the 2-year program there, and then going to UNCP, getting that 4-year degree, and with what you're doing there, what the UNCP is doing, at one time, UNCP basically brought us all our teachers. We didn't have to go nowhere else. And so I would like to say, hopefully in the next 2 or 3 years, you could get that back there, but I know it would take longer than that. But anything that can be done that where at this time of the year, we're not sitting here looking for teachers. It'd be nice to be sitting here, we've got all teachers and got people coming and wanting the job. And I really believe the things that y'all can do there and at RCC to bring us staff is a lot better than having to go other places and try to find the staff. Not getting in too much history, but there were some things taken away from UNCP and the education department in the 80s and 90s as far as stopping certifications, and that's going way back. It really hurt us. And I could get into math, science fields that just science, or the education part just stopped. You didn't get certified. You could get a degree, but you couldn't get certified because I was in that part. So that's the reason I have a little knowledge of it. But whatever y'all can do to help provide teachers for this school system and any other, but I'm going to say us first, we will appreciate it, and it will definitely be very helpful. Thank you.
Erica's got a follow-up. Go ahead.
Sorry, follow up.
You're fine.
Daniel brought to my attention to mention, the state for a long time has been supportive of TAs becoming teachers because historically, TAs would get 1 year of credit as a teacher for every 2 years they serve as a TA. If they had their degree prior, it could end up being 1-for-1. So there has been that part of the state supporting that process as well.
That's good.
And Mr. Chairman, if you remember, because you was on the board then, at one time, Dr. Zoe Locklear was on the UNC board, and they could go in as a junior then, and they paid them to go back. That way, we was able to send more staff. And if the state could get back to that, or if you all could look into that, sending more staff than what we're currently getting, it will help us tremendously.
Mr. Terry. And then I got Henry. Terry. Go ahead, go ahead if you got some comment, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on that comment. I'm sorry, you asked if we could do what? I want to be.
Several years ago, I think in the early 2000s, late 90s, we was able to send staff to UNCP at that time, Pembroke State at that time. And I know Dr. Zoe Locklear was on the UNC board at that time when they bought into our TAs. And if they had associate degrees, they became a junior but they were paid to go back to school. And we were able to send more staff that way.
I see, okay.
And if they could look back into
We're still paying, Melissa, what you said, or Eric, we're paying them 4,500, 4,600, and you said it?
Yeah, but we was able to send more than 5 or.
Okay, Terry.
So I believe, and just a quick follow-up, and we'll grab that. The amount designated by the state is the amount designated by the state. But at UNC Pembroke, we have the access, NC Promise. And so that doesn't usually equal that particular amount for full-time students, particularly for full-time students who are non-residential, with that and fees. I think the amount allotted is per student. It's not, I don't believe you get to take the total amount and disperse it over however many students.
Okay.
Does that help a little bit?
Yes, 'cause like I said, as long as we can get more students in the program than what we've been getting.
Terry's got the floor.
Staff.
Thank you, Dr. Floyd, for providing this information. This was very helpful. I'm not sure if this question is for you or for us here. What is the status of our partnership in terms of the new teacher support program?
Yes, so we have the new teacher support program. Dr. Karen Granger leads that program. Right now, we do have a partnership with Robinson. So when you ask, what is the status? Is it current? Yeah. Is it
How many teachers do we
ongoing?
have participating?
Yeah, I would have to find that out for you. She was on vacation when I pulled this presentation together. If she's watching this, don't kill me. But I would be happy to follow up with you. She has all of that data, and we can tell you about the coaches, and we can tell you how many students are participating. I don't particularly have.
That'd be fine. If you get that and just forward it to the superintendent, that'd be great.
Absolutely. We'll make sure we provide that for Dr. Locklear. And I did want to circle back. Thank you so much for sharing that information, the historical context of what's happened with the challenges. I think one of the things that we can do collectively is to change the narrative about teaching, right? And I know you talk about those questions all the time. So we can be as innovative and creative as we want, but then at the end of the day, we may not be able to give away money. We may not be able to give away scholarships. So what we have to do is change the narrative about what it's like to become a teacher, to encourage people to choose teaching as a profession. And that starts with our children having pleasant experiences when they're navigating through this particular district. So again, we're glad to partner with you on these initiatives. We're open to more, and we'll be happy to talk with you about those as well.
Mr. Brewer's got a question right here. Henry.
Dr. Floyd, I heard the number 5. How does that work in the equation? Is that 5 at the beginning of each college semester or every annual school term?
The number 5?
I'm sorry, that was 5 that the district supports. She didn't put a number on her, on how many can participate in the program they have for TAs and teachers. 5 was the number that the district is already supporting.
Correct. We'll take more. If you want to fund more and you can fund more, we'll take more. Our desire for us, in order for us to run it in the creative way that we've designed with weekend classes and so forth, ideally we need a cohort of 20, and we've extended the invitation also to Scotland, Cumberland, Hope, because they all have the ability to tap into this funding.
Ms. Erica, follow up with that. When those how does it work with those 5? When they graduate, you select 5 more?
Yes, sir. That's
So,
exactly how
so those 5 are there until they graduate, and nobody else is
It's
funded?
capped for 2, it's almost similar to what Dr. Floyd said, 2 years and maybe 2 summers. But it's capped at 2 years, and so far,
We've had a great turnover, so like out of the first initial 5, 3 people came off. As soon as someone comes out, we automatically start interviewing and we fill that position. So as soon as it's a quick turnover for a lot of them, depending on how far they are when they come in. And then, but as soon as someone comes out of the program, we immediately start interviewing and fill that spot.
Any other questions? Dr. Williams?
Melissa helped me. The General Assembly helped in the process, because historically, they could not student, teacher, intern in their school, and so they had to take a leave. But that bill eliminated that, so now it's more attractive for TAs to get into the program, knowing that they can intern in their building and maintain their pay.
Right.
Absolutely. That provision has made it more enticing for students, and it's also made it easier, I believe, for districts to support, knowing that they're not losing that manpower. And then the IHEs, the universities, are able to collaborate in a different way in order to make that happen. So we encourage them to student teach and certainly support them student teaching in their home districts. And then usually they make a job offer and they, like she said, stay in the district.
Any other comments or questions?
Just want to say thank you for the partnership and the opportunity to grow with the honor of the Chancellor, Dr. Cummings, with that. And we look forward to continuing partnering and working with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Williamson. And if I can continue to be of assistance, you know how to reach me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Floyd. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is the Robinson Community College quarterly update. Melissa Singler.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I would be remiss if I did not call your attention to Dr. Williamson's very beautiful face covering. Please let me know if you like one. Be happy to share. You're very fortunate tonight in that you don't have to listen to me all night. I've brought my team with me, and I want to introduce these folks to you. But before I do, I want to thank Dr. Williamson and Dr. Lockley and the other associate superintendents. We have started meeting quarterly in a very proactive manner, which has resulted in some wonderful collaborations and partnerships on our campus, but in the public schools as well. This collaboration has resulted in grant opportunities. You probably read about the cybersecurity grant. It has resulted in the soon-to-be expansion, hold your applause, of the early college high school. We're going to be able to add more students. And it has resulted in a marketing effort. There's a grant that exists right now called the Long Leaf Grant. You may have heard about it. But basically, it's funds for the graduating class of 20 and 21 to attend community college basically for free as long as they qualify, and the majority of our students will. And we were able to work with Mr. Deal and actually get a list of graduating seniors and push that information out to them so that they can avail themselves of this opportunity. And I know that sounds simple and easy, but it's not simple or easy. There's some steps you have to go through and make that happen, and PSRC made that happen. So these students are going to be able, hopefully, to attend community college for free. So I could go on and on, but I want to bring up my team. So Dr. Elliott, Stephen, and I brought Courtney with me just to kind of rub your faces in it. She's my executive assistant, and I know she was trained here. I want to thank all of you for the absolutely wonderful. Dr. Elliott is our Vice President of Instruction and Student Services.
And Mr. Stephen Hunt is our Vice President for Continuing Education and Facilities. So I think we have some slides. Dr. Elliott, you're first, and if you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer those. President Singer. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to come before you this evening. It's always exciting to talk about the partnership that we have with PSRC. We love working very closely with the team, and just want to take an opportunity this evening to highlight a couple things relative to our Career and College Promise program. I didn't want to make any assumptions, so I wanted to start with the first slide being, why choose Career and College Promise? So you will see from the slide before you, the benefits of choosing to select courses in this particular component. The opportunity to explore over 40 academic programs while being duly enrolled in high school. It saves students and parents money on college tuition because the classes and books are tuition free. It assists with admissions into future college choice. It introduces the college experience to students, and it provides a jump start on the career plans, job training, skills, and certifications. As you'll see from the next slide, the cost savings to families. So just always like to put this before us to show you just an example of if a student took a 3 credit hour class, such as an English class. Keep in mind that oftentimes students really benefit from taking their general education courses, you know, through this track and everything, and having those out of the way in preparation for going on to the 4-year institution. But look at the cost savings before you that a family could realize by taking advantage of this opportunity. The cost to the CCP students, 0. And that student could earn upward of 30 credit hours, and just look at the potential savings on the university side if they took advantage of these courses. So I always like to just recap cost savings to the families. On the next slide, you'll see that this shows you the data from the inception of the program until now, the students that have come through RCC's CCP courses. We, through the partnership growing with PSRC, we are happy to share the growth that the program has been actualizing until COVID. So yes, we were impacted a little bit by COVID, by the pandemic as it relates to the enrollment. But you're gonna see from the next slides, opportunities, we're gonna rebound. And by rebounding, you're gonna take a look at the existing career opportunities that students on the curriculum side have exposure to. You'll see the HVAC, business administration, cosmetology, criminal justice technology, early childhood, electrical systems technology, industrial system technology, and information technology. Well, they also have new CTE pathways. And these pathways can include mechatronics engineering, networking, you heard the president mention cybersecurity, and simulation and gaming. Simulation and gaming is one program that we were happy to onboard because of talks with PSRC and interests that students have within the district. On the university transfer and health science area, we have existing pathways in the Associate of Arts, the Associate of Science, the Associate Degree in Nursing, Emergency Medical Science, and Nurse Aid. Well, we also have new pathways in this component as well. So you'll see that, and Dr. Floyd talked about it this evening, the teacher prep program. So we have that track on the Associates and of Science and the Associate of Arts level as well. In the fall, in the upcoming fall, we are looking forward to supporting our CCP students through their semester, the regular semester, which will be August 30th through December 13th. We embed a little time for students to start with PSRC and get settled and everything before they start their classes. But because of the extension of the fall semester, it provides us with an opportunity to also support our partners with enrichment workshops for the students. So oftentimes you hear employers talk about needing to see students increase their soft skills and other type of job training skills. We're going to use that opportunity to expose them to those type of skills, as well as some other enrichment workshop topics that you see before you: resume building, interviewing skills, helping them work with completing the FAFSA. Because we know, and the data shows us, that more students that have that FAFSA completed increases the opportunity to onboard them very quickly with the admissions enrollment process. To support the students' opportunities, we also offer a winter session. So last fall, you may have seen us advertise that we had a winter session that students could take advantage of. Our CCP students, some of your children returning home from college from their four-year schools could take advantage of these courses as well. Well, we're also going to offer it this winter as well, and you'll see the dates on the screen before you. The next slide will show you partnerships. Now, these are just a snippet of the four-year institutional partnerships that we have with institutions across the state. As you'll see, we have UNCP, we have North Carolina State, UNC, et cetera. We work very closely with our PSRC team members to share this information with students, because not only do they receive the benefits of being in the CCP courses, but also, as President Singler mentioned, grant opportunities that we have secured with partners with state, local, and federal agencies. Our students get to benefit directly from those. So we have scholarship opportunities that we try to make sure that students can take advantage of, that will be additional funds in their pockets as they matriculate at RCC. So one example you may have seen advertised is that we have a partnership with NC State for agriculture. And so students can receive a $5,000 scholarship for participating in that component, be exposed to internship opportunities with NC State, and be able to have those funds directly into their pockets. Apprenticeships. We are trying to grow our apprenticeships. And not only are we trying to grow them with currently enrolled students at the school, but we're trying to work very closely with our PSRC partners to bring those opportunities down to the high school level and to help increase apprenticeship opportunities for youth. That is a big initiative with the state, and we want to make sure that we're working very closely to try to increase those opportunities as well. The president stole my thunder that I was going to end on, and that was talking about additional money. Everyone loves to hear conversations about money and funding opportunities for students and parents. And the president mentioned the Long Leaf Commitment Grant. So you probably have seen this statewide initiative that has recently been launched. And the next slide will just show you those eligibility requirements. Keep in mind, again, it's not a loan, it is a grant. It does not have to be repaid. All the student has to be is a graduate from a North Carolina high school this year in 2021, be a North Carolina resident, first-time college student, which includes our CCP and early college students, enroll in a curriculum program beginning this fall, enroll in at least 6 credit hours per semester, complete their FAFSA, have an expected family contribution between $0 and $15,000, and to renew their FAFSA. And this is money that is going directly to the students for their education and applied to their account. And again, it would not have to be repaid. So the president shared with you that we are making sure that communication go out to all PSRC graduates. Please help us spread the word. Even if you have a child or a relative, have friends, other family members, spread the word to them. Even if they have already committed to going to Harvard, plans can change.
Right.
And they can start their educational experience at RCC. Any questions as I end the curriculum component, and my colleague Mr. Hunt comes forward to talk about continuing education side of the house.
Any questions?
Good job.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
No.
So, my side of the house is continuing education. So, I'd like to make just a couple of statements, what we consider bold statements at this point in time. I think 35 years ago, or maybe even 40 years ago, the paradigm was everybody needs to get a college education, whether that be a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree, and then go off to, get your master's or PhD. Guess what? That's changing, right? And so that's really what we need to crush right now. We need to crush that paradigm that everyone needs to go to college and add the new paradigm of everyone needs an education. So whether the education is in a 2-year program or 4-year or whatever it may be, or in one of our programs, which is continuing education on the technical side. We're meeting with employers almost every day. And right now, I could literally put my hands on probably anywhere between 300 to 400 jobs in the county right now that folks need help in. And so we've embarked on the continuing education side. This will be our 3rd semester at it in continuing education. We started in a pilot program, which was pharmacy tech. So that, believe it or not, pharmacy tech, the guys that count the pills, that gets everything right, that gives you your medication. Right now, I can take you 70 miles south of here where they're offering $1,000 signing bonus for pharm tech. $1,000 for pharmacy tech. 10 years ago, that was a high school kid that was there part-time, or it was a kid that was in college there part-time. This is actually a career now. And so what our side of the house really tries to do is we target those students who are not destined for a 2-year or 4-year degree. They're going to work, right? It may be circumstances at home, or it may be, and I think this is the thing that we really have to embrace. Every student is not geared to be a college student as well, right? Some folks do really well with their hands. Some folks do really good on pieces of paper, so to speak. And so those are the students that we're targeting in these programs here, more of the hands-on folks who are actually going to graduate high school. And then what we want to do is give them an education, right? Which leads to a state credential in most of these, so that they can go to work somewhere, within 6 months to a year, and they can start earning income. And the way this whole program's, our side of the house is set up is that my side of the house is not in competition with Dr. Elliott's side of the house, because it's a totally different set of students. So what we're here to do is complement those students who are not looking to go to a 2-year and then transfer the UNCP. We're looking for those students who says, I need to go to work right after graduation for whatever reason it may be. And so we've ran pharmacy tech now for 3 semesters. This is the biggest hit that we have right now. This class is really running well. And if you look at these will be our academic offerings for 21-22 with PSRC. Pharm tech, if you see here, it's state articulation. What state articulation means is that student who enrolls in that class will actually receive 2 credits towards graduation. So not only are they in search of a credential for the workforce, but they're also receiving 2 credits for graduation as well. If you see the term local articulation, that means that agreement is between us and PSRC, and there's no credits for that, but they do have the right to earn their credential to go in the workforce after graduation. So our offerings for this academic year are Pharm Tech, state articulation, EKG technician, it's a local articulation, Law and Justice 1 and 2, state articulation. The reason that we really added this one this year is, believe it or not, there's some cities right now, when you call into 911 dispatch, that dispatch is making a decision whether to send a police officer out to your house or not based on a phone call. Why? Because they're short policemen. So what we're trying to do is engage, at the middle school level and then at the high school level to get these kids interested in some type of law and justice, so that police officer or whatever it may be in the CJ field. The next one we have is certified production technician. It's a local articulation. This one right here, our local industries are dying for folks right now. 3 years ago, 5 years ago, it was, we need a skilled workforce. In the meetings that we're in right now is, we need a workforce. We need a body. That's where we're at this point in time. The next one we have is HVAC 1 and 2, state articulation. Then the next one is firefighter technology 1 and 2, state articulation 2 as well. So once again, the state articulations are two credits for graduation, and then eventually leading to some sort of credential, whether that be a state credential or a national credential or whatever. So we need your help. I'm going to be honest with you. This is really a plea for help to, in the school system, we need the kids. We need the students to fill these classes up. Talk to the parents. I mean, this is a great way, for a student who's undecided on what he or she wants to do. This is really where they need to do. They graduate, they go to work, and the way the whole system is really designed for, we give them a credential, they go to work. Now they realize out in the adult world, I can do better with an education. So then they go back for a 2-year, right? Then they go back for a 4-year, and then they circle back to our side of the house to get their continuing ed credits. So it's really a circle. It's never about competition. It's all about running that circle together. So we're here tonight pleading for your help to get the word out for the CCP on the CE side at our school. Any questions?
Any questions? Comments?
It's a good program. The HVAC 1 and 2, looking at the training that even the county employees have to have when they're trying to get HVAC people certified, that will work as a grand stool for them. So I admonish you all highly because that's a good program. All of them, even for the criminal justice side, for the law and justice. I'm criminal justice political science, so that's awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would say that this board did sign off on and support My Future's NC, that attainment goal of 2 million certified credential workers by 2030. We're about 700,000 short. Critical is what you're talking about tonight. And then the local or state articulated to do a credit piece is a major step in the right direction. But this board has supported My Future NC and that attainment goal of 2 million credential certified workers by 2030. And thank you for the partnership.
Yeah, we commend all of the RCC and UNCP for the collaboration and everybody same goal, so to speak. I saw a couple of hands go up here. I saw Craig, but somebody else, just Henry and Craig. Okay, go ahead, Craig.
Ms. Tyne, is this program part of what we talked about last year with numbers?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I asked that to say this, folks. I know it was with COVID, but the number of students we had enrolling in these programs last year, the nicest way I can say it was terrible. It was extremely low, if I'm not mistaken. So, Dr. Williamson, I'm just going to ask that, through high school principals and counselors, we really need to push this at our local schools to get the kids in, because these are good programs, especially when, somebody's not going to college and they can go out and get a job and start. That's another plug for the technology high school, but that's another day. Numbers last year were extremely low when we had a conversation about enrollment, so we really need to push this through our high schools.
This effort will be part of our 3-year initiatives for the district that we'll share in the fall, tied to ESSA funds.
Okay.
We're working on that, but it will be part of our district-wide initiative.
Mr. Brewer?
Certified locksmith would be another item you could add to that. Because large agencies like PSRC, you go out, you just can't hire anybody to unlock locks. They have to be certified and they have to be bonded. So that's a good skill to learn.
It is. I also want to remind you that if, as an institution, you need any specialized training for your employees, we can do that. We can set that up for you. So we think about it in terms of our students, but also think about it in terms of an institution. If your maintenance department needs some training, it's and we can make that happen. Also.
One other thing I'd like to add is, not with CCP, but we also have a new project, we're calling it Tiny House Nation. Boss laughs about that. But we're calling it Tiny House Nation, and it's actually a 5-core discipline that we're about to embark on. And it is carpentry, HVAC, electrician, weatherization, and plumbing. Because we've really got away from the core at the community college, and that's something that we're trying to put back in. So this project, Tiny House Nation, is what we're working on, and we're working with several vendors out there, GCs, general contractors, weatherization folks to put those back in. So we're hoping to have that stood up in the fall too as well. So if you have students, who maybe graduate and didn't have their plans to go to college or just kind of out there that you guys know about, send them my way if they're interested in any type of construction trade. And the way that's geared is that 5 core is, they'll get an overall view of the 5 cores, and then they pick which one they would like to get certified in, or they will go to work. But I can tell you right now, we have 5 vendors signed up with us on that one. As soon as they get through the core, they'll hire every single one of them right now.
The end product will be, we will build a tiny house. And
My question.
I have a 30-year-old son. Y'all are going to have to fight me for a bit. So just know that the intent is to build a tiny house and auction. I won't be allowed to bid, so you're good. But I hope to do this not just once, but repetitively.
Wayne had his hand up.
Yeah, looking at everything up there, and pretty much, we can pretty much say that all these are needs right here
Yes,
that we have pretty much across, not just Robeson County, but pretty much across the country.
yes.
And they left one thing out right here. There's nobody that knows this no better than me. Do not wreck your car. There is nobody to fix them.
So we are getting ready to stand up an automotive technology program.
Make sure it's body shop and not mechanic.
We're gonna do both.
There you go. All right.
Okay, because we gotta fix it inside, but we gotta fix the outside. We used to have a saying, a little bondo, a little, make it what it ain't. So we're going to definitely add that to our offerings. Did you have questions?
Yes. I was going to say to Dr. Williamson, this would be a grand opportunity for staff development with the maintenance organization and developing new people that we hire that doesn't have full certification. That'd be a grand opportunity.
Absolutely.
And some of those we got.
I noticed Bobby made a note, so it's recorded.
Any other Mr. Gentry?
I have a comment. It's an excellent presentation, and I thank you for it. But I think you need to go on the road with this. Let me clarify what I'm saying, and it goes back to what, I'm sorry, forgot your name, sir? About changing the philosophy and the mentality of what a good student is and the future of our students. That the thought process, and I've been out of the system for a while, but I dare say the thought process is still there about you got to go to college. And unfortunately, and I'm not down in our counselors, I'm taking the word guidance away from it, and I know that's what we're supposed to be doing. But there's still work to be done in changing the mindset of, and we've just been told where the jobs are. And so I'm not saying this is wasted on this, it's certainly not wasted, but more people need to hear it and change their pattern of thinking. That's what I'm getting at.
Hopefully these quarterly meetings we're having and the collaboration with Dr. Williamson, who is very supportive of these technical programs, is going to change the mindset. I'm overwhelmed today.
Yes.
Think for a second. The big 3 are in this room: PSRC, UNCP, and Robeson Community College. There is nothing that together we cannot accomplish for every student. Those who are college bound that are going to operate on us one day, the doctors, the lawyers who are going to keep us out of trouble. I had to call a plumber on a Sunday. Let me tell you, you want a good livelihood, become a plumber.
Yeah.
And then try to find one to come to your house on a Sunday. So it's there. We just have to work together, and we have to hold hands, and we have to make sure we represent
every student in Robinson County. This place is a gold mine, folks. We are sitting on a gold mine. We've got all the tools, we've got everything that we need. All we have to do is work together. And we're doing that. We're doing that right here. This is proof of it.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Take the presentation.
All right.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Next item on the agenda is Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps Summer Program. Colonel Gregory Williams.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Or as we say in the Army, hooah. By the way, that's how you say good afternoon and good morning in the Army also, is hooah. It's ubiquitous. Again, good evening, Mr. Smith and school board members, Dr. Williamson, administrators, staff, and guests. I'm Colonel Greg Williamson. I'm the senior armory instructor at Lumberton High School, where I'm now beginning my 7th year on staff here. And tonight I'm joined by Command Sergeant Major Patrick McBride and Sergeant First Class Gail Mitchell, and a few cadets who will introduce themselves a little bit later. Well, thank you, the PSRC School Board, Dr. Williamson, Dr. Lockley, and Mr. Davis, our administrators and staff for the support of our ROTC programs and this opportunity to share a bit about ROTC, along with numerous businesses and nonprofits that also help ROTC and work with them oftentimes in projects and in community service projects. Your support's been invaluable to our program's growth and success. We've enjoyed an excellent relationship with administrators and staff, and we look forward to another successful year with our cadets. Hopefully, as this COVID thing settles down. Next slide, please. This is our mission statement. Our mission is to improve the cadets' engagement in our communities. We prepare cadets for life as responsible citizens who are dedicated to their families, communities, and nation. If you'll notice, we're not a recruiting component of the Army. Students often misunderstand that cadets are in the program in order to join the military after graduation. That isn't so. We have had numerous cadets join the military, but we have had also many go on to college, vocational school, technical school, or join the workforce. Some have earned scholarships, senior ROTC scholarships, enlistment bonuses, and work opportunities. Most recently, one of our graduates from Lumberton got an appointment to West Point Prep School. Shadon Foreman, she's doing a great job, and we look forward to her success in the future. A JROTC is for any student who wants to prepare for life after high school. They don't have to commit to going into the military. Next slide, please. These are our core abilities. As I said, many have the notion that ROTC is preparation for a vocation in the military. As you can see, this is not one of our core abilities. Our curriculum, developed by Cadet Command, focuses on critical thinking, decision-making, self-reliance, personal accountability, and kindling a love for lifelong learning. Next slide, please. Here's what our program outcomes include. Cadets prepared for a globally competitive environment. Our world grows smaller every day. Social media, global communications, multinational corporations, the ease of travel, all make for more complex business, political, and military environments. Cadets engage in social and civic activities that contribute to a healthier society and culture. Preparation for post-high school graduation, whether it be college, vocational technical education, entering the workforce, or a military career. Fostering healthy life decisions, physically, morally, emotionally, and spiritually. And an appreciation for our service organizations, first responders, military, civil service, nonprofits, and those that support our communities in our cities and states. Next slide, please. This is how every ROTC battalion is organized. Every program you run across, no matter whether it's in Lumberton or in San Francisco, Seattle, Minneapolis, wherever, it's structured the same way for an Army ROTC battalion. It has a battalion as depicted on the chart. It's cadet-led and cadet-managed and cadet-focused in order to teach leadership, team building, collaboration, and personal accountability. Very briefly, the battalion is commanded by a cadet lieutenant colonel along with an executive officer who is a major, and the senior enlisted cadet who is a command sergeant major. That is the battalion leadership team. These cadets are selected by the instructors and in place for that school year. They have coordinating staff officers consisting of the S1, who does all the personnel actions, our S2, who does information and security, our S3, who does training and operations, our S4, who does logistics and supply, and the S5, who does this critical job called public relations and special projects. The battalion is further divided into companies that are led by cadet, company commanders, company execs, and company first sergeants. The cadets identified are instrumental in the Junior ROTC Program Accreditation, the JPA. We undergo this every 4 years. 3 of our high schools will undergo that this year in their academic year. Evaluators from 4th Brigade at Fort Bragg will receive briefings from our cadets, inspect cadets, and interview cadets during this process. At the end of the evaluation, the battalion receives a grade ranging from on a unit with distinction to on probation. To be clear, the program is graded by the cadets' performance interacting with those graders from 4th Brigade. It's not graded by our performance as instructors. Inspection takes most of a school day per battalion. Next slide, please. ROTC also has competitive teams. Our battalion that compete at every level, from local competitions all the way up to national competitions. The teams are academic and physical in nature. The teams compete locally with teams in the Sand Hills area, the 5-state 4th Brigade area, and if they do well enough, even nationally. Competitions include the JROTC leadership and academic goals. Every battalion competes at level 1 with a team of 6 cadets. Top scoring teams progress to level 2, with the best going to DC to compete nationally. Purnell Sweat has done this on 2 occasions, where they've gone to DC nationally to compete. Raiders is the most physically demanding. Cadets must compete in squad runs, individual physical fitness tests, rope bridge, and various team events such as litter gear. Again, teams can progress to the national competition in Raiders. Marksmanship teams compete with 4 shooters on a team. They too compete to the national level. St. Paul's has done well recently, with their rifle teams going to the 5-state best of the best competition several times. Finally, we have competitive drill teams. These teams compete locally, regionally, and nationally in various drill events. Team members are graded on their precision and their teamwork, and some of them are incredible to watch, I must say. Instructors coach these teams in much the same way that athletic coaches coach teams. They meet with cadets after school to teach, coach, and mentor them. Next slide. JCLC. Every year, approximately 75 cadets from our county go to Fort Jackson to experience a bit of team training and adventure training. They live in the basic training barracks and they have that environment. They eat in the mess hall, the dining facilities, and they meet cadets from all throughout the area, North and South Carolina. The training is usually 7 days. Due to COVID, Cadet Command has canceled the training the past 2 years. This year, in lieu of training at Fort Jackson, Cadet Command authorized local camps with a cap of 11 cadets per school. In consultation with fellow instructors and Dr. Lockley, we elected to do a Robeson County camp. This was a first for our county. We collaborated on a 5-day training schedule, offering 55 cadets unique experiences at the 5 schools. The training events are noted on the slide behind us. The camp was really a great success for our cadets and instructors. By all accounts, this was a sound decision for our program's future and overall reputation of PSRC, particularly with 4th Brigade. I want to thank Dr. Lockley on behalf of our instructors for support during the decision-making process and implementation of the camp. Thanks a lot, Dr. Lockley. The next slide captures cadets engaged in some of those activities. If you'll notice, the cadets doing CPR training, where they received, I believe it was a 2-hour, 3-hour accreditation toward that certification. They went through Cadet Challenge, which is our physical fitness test for ROTC, marksmanship, and rope bridge training. Next slide, please. Plan to have an active year. God so allows. You'll notice that the new curriculum encourages science, technology, engineering, and mathematics training, and JROTC programs have or will receive robotics and drones. 2 years ago, some of our cadets earned FAA licenses while at JCLC while flying drones. It was a very intense program academically and technically. We plan to resume our schedule of activities this year, as I said, God willing. Competitions, parades, service learning, guest speakers, field trips, and of course, ACLC again, with accompanying mini camp. Cadets and instructors alike are eager to resume our normal, however that's going to look, routine of events. We've missed the teamwork, camaraderie, and fun that we have as battalions. The next slide depicts a few more of our camp photos of cadets. Next slide. Here we have cadets doing orienteering, and again, they earned their orienteering badge as they went through that process at St. Paul's High School. Next slide. Well, here I'm taking an opportunity for a plug. We're going to have a special event at Lumberton High School called Military Appreciation. And on behalf of Mr. Brooks, Coach Dees, and our OTC unit, we invite you to join us for a military appreciation event at the high school football game on the 27th of August. The Golden Knights execution parachute team will jump in to begin our football game that night. And we hope to have you there to have an enjoyable evening where we honor our veterans and those who are still serving on active duty. Next slide. We've got some great instructors in the county, and I tip my hats to all of them. They do a great job collaborating and doing teamwork, consulting with one another, sharing one another, and helping each other out. They come from the officer enlisted ranks. They come from combat arms, combat support, and combat service support. Our county is blessed with having senior field grade officers, company grade, and warrant officers, along with retired sergeants major and senior non-commissioned officers. Among our instructors, we have more than 275 years of military experience. We enjoy collaboration and cooperation with one another and readily work as a team. I've personally enjoyed the teamwork among our instructors. In closing, we have three of our cadets who are at the camp, at our Robinson County camp. We call it Camp Robinson. They're here to introduce themselves tonight. Cadets.
Hi, I'm Cadet Major Jordan Martin. I'm the Battalion Executive Officer. I'm in the 11th grade, and my activities outside of ROTC include football, track and field, church, beta club, and NHS. Oh, yeah, sorry. After high school, I plan to attend the United States Military Academy at West Point or the United States Naval Academy at Annapolis. And from there, go into either the U.S. Army or the U.S. Marine Corps.
I am Cadet Staff Sergeant Elijah Centron. I am Platoon Sergeant. I'm in the 11th grade. Activities outside of ROTC, I play football. After high school, I plan to enlist to the military.
I am Cadet Ricardo Regino. I am Cadet Staff Sergeant Ricardo Regino. Well, I'm in the 12th grade, and my activities out of ROTC, I play football and track and field. After I graduate high school, I plan to go to college and become a police officer.
Awesome.
I am an Army Junior ROTC cadet. I will always conduct myself in respect to my family, country, school, and board cadets. I am loyal and patriotic. I am the future of the United States of America. I do not lie, cheat, steal, and always be accountable for my actions and deeds. I will always rescue good citizens and patriotism. I will
work hard to improve my mind and strengthen my body. I will seek the counsel of leadership and stand firm and uphold the Constitution of America in my life. May God grant the strength to all of us by this creed. Whoa.
Just identify which school they all attend, if they don't mind.
High school, sir.
All of them were Lumberton?
All three of them are Lumberton, sir, yes.
Okay, all right.
We're on break right now, so we had to grab what's close by.
That's fine. I'm just curious if they all went.
Yeah, sir, they're from Wilmington High School.
Nervous.
Again, I want to thank all of you for the opportunity to share a bit about ROTC, share a little bit from our cadets, and particularly about our camp. It was a great success. So again, thank you for your time. Any questions or comments, my presentation.
Any questions, comments?
Just comment, thank you for your service and the other ones that have served our country. Thank you.
Most welcome, thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Gentry.
Any idea what the average GPA is of a cadet?
Yeah, thanks again. That's a good question. And that's where we're getting back to this technology, STEM focus from Cadet Command. We want to improve the GPA, and that was one of our goals over the years. We have a long-term goal we set every 3 years. One was to improve our test scores for SAT, ACT, ASVAB, and word keys. So right now, I can't speak for the entire district because I have visibility on what's going on at Lumberton. But I would like to think it's about a 3.0. So weighted, 3.0 weighted. But we have many cadets who are well above that. And some that aren't blessed with those kind of gifts. But they have other skills that we like to hone and improve. And they do very well. So it's about teamwork, collaboration. We even try to put cadets with internally mentoring them back and forth and having somebody who's struggling with mathematics or something. They have a cadet who's doing well. We'd like them to mentor them right inside our own program, if possible.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Colonel. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Got it. Next item on the agenda is Indian Education Summer Enrichment Camp. Dr. Connie, there.
Good evening, Chairman Smith, Superintendent Williams, and board members and guests. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight on behalf of our Indian Education Summer Enrichment Camp. Next slide, please. We had 3 weeks of camp, and we started on June the 7th, and we ended on the 24th. As usual, we had 2 sites, Lumberton Junior and Pembroke Middle. I want to take the opportunity to give a special thanks to Dr. Mosby and to Mr. Anthony Barton, as well as their staff, their cafeteria staff, their office staff, their custodial staff. All of them were awesome, and we really do appreciate their help. We had approximately 230 students, including our vision students. Our vision students are our high school students, and that's volunteering Indian students in our nation. We started that years ago so that our students could have volunteerism on their college applications. We thought that was very important. We had an awesome 3 weeks. The last day, we had children crying, don't want to leave camp. It just goes to show that our children need structure, and when they lack structure, it does something to them. And getting back in that structure setting was awesome, and they were happy to be there. Next slide, please. We had academics in the morning, and we had our PE, our cultural arts, our drum and dance, all of that was in the afternoon. We had some great networking and partnerships, as you've heard it here tonight, the importance of partnerships. We had UNC Chapel Hill professors. Dr. Alex Miller at UNC Chapel Hill is a physics professor. His team, his doctoral students, they worked with our grades 6 through 8 to provide a hands-on chemistry activity, and they provided all the supplies, so we didn't have to purchase anything. Then NC State Science House also provided a bunch of activities for us. Miss Pam Gilchrist, who is a graduate of St. Paul's High School, is now she works at North Carolina State Science House. And she is always willing to give back to Robeson County because she is a graduate from here. So she met me and brought a bunch of supplies down that we could use, some activities during our summer camp. We also had emerging technologies, and they provided 2 STEM days at RCC. And during those days, the kids were introduced to drones, robotics, cybersecurity, and medical technologies. And we'll see some more pictures as it relates to that. We had a day at the Lumbee Cultural Center with our tribal chairman. Our kids went to Discovery Place and participated in a county tour. And we had planned a trip to the Lost Colony, and unfortunately that trip had to be canceled due to issues beyond our control, but it was in the best interest of all of our stakeholders that we canceled that trip. So once again, before we go to the next slide, I want to talk about how important networking is. These opportunities have came through us networking. Next slide, please. This is a picture of our chemistry and the bottle activity. And I said this activity was provided by UNC Chapel Hill with Dr. Miller. He reached out to me back here in, I think it was March, February, and he asked if we would like to partner with him. And I'm like, of course, yes, we would. So he provided all of these supplies. He had written a grant through Rutgers University, Chapel Hill, and Yale. And they wanted to partner with us to provide hands-on activities for students. So this is an activity, and it was a Zoom meeting. They didn't actually come down, but they were on Zoom, and the teachers helped to facilitate the activity. Next slide, please. We had academics are reading, math, and science, and I brought these books. This book was given to me, about 300 copies, and it's from Johns Hopkins University. And they called me and asked me if we would like this book. It's called Our Smallest Warriors, Our Strongest Medicine. And it's a book for children or for adults to read to children as a way to teach them resiliency during this troublesome time, and to remind them that even though we have lost people during COVID, they're always going to be with us, and how we can overcome our fear. So our teachers utilize that book. This is also another book that we used, and this is Southeast Woodland Designs. And some of our kids, this was a cultural piece that we talked about, the importance of the pine cone patchwork, what it means to our community and our American Indian people. And so our teachers utilized this book in the class, and you can also see the spirit of the corn and some of the activities that the students did. So reading is very important in our program, math and science. Next slide, please. You can see here in this middle slide, you can see they're playing with base 10. So they're working with math. That's very important, to have a science activity. And over here is UNCP also partnered with us, and we were part of their STEMville, but we had to cancel STEMville due to COVID. And so they had already purchased some items, as well as Project 3C with the Lumbee Tribe, and they weren't able to utilize all of those. So they gave them to us, and we were able to use those during our summer camp. Next slide, please. Here, once again, we're talking about reading, math, and science. These kids over here, these hands hold my dad's heart. So it was the weekend before Father's Day, but they had to write about why their dad was important. So there was a writing component there, and they did this. And here you see the activity with the seeds. You know that seeds don't need soil to sprout, excuse me. And then this activity here, they're using Oreo cookies, and they're making soil with the Oreo cookies, and then they're putting, you see the little worms? So they're talking about the earth. And we have an activity about why Mother Earth is so important to us and why we need to protect her. So next slide, please. And here, once again, we're talking about science. You see the water cycle, and here you see the windmills. What do you need? We had a great activity, especially now we're coming up on hurricane season. What do you need in case there's an emergency? And so the kids went through this activity. Next slide, please. And here's some more. This was an activity that was provided to us by NC State Science House. This is the grabber. You know, a lot of times people use the grabber to pick up, paper and stuff. And once again, it goes right back to why we need to protect Mother Earth. And then it's a science activity, hands-on STEM. That has been my initiative since I took over as Internet Director. STEM is so important to me. And I want our kids to realize that if you look at our American Indian population, there's so few American Indian students, or students of color, period, Black and brown children, so few of them in the areas of STEM. And we need to change that, because that's where our jobs are going. We just heard that from RCC. So we need to really focus on STEM. So that's been my initiative as the director, to really push STEM. Next slide, please. So we had a STEM day at RCC with emerging technologies. We had them to come down, and you see the kids are holding the drones, and they were flying the drones. Those kids got a kick out of that, just having those drones in their hands. Next slide. And then we had the robotics, that's with the early college. And so they were excited about that. What happens with science sometimes, if we don't hook these kids in the early grades, by the time they get to high school, they're only going to take those courses that are required. But if we can hook them in the early grades, then they start thinking about that. So next slide, please. And here, this is medical technologies. And this was NC State, and they came and they started talking to kids about the different technologies that are being used now and how medicine has advanced over these years. Next slide, please. This is the one that they really enjoyed the most, I think. This was cybersecurity.org. And this gentleman talked to them about how he could hack into their phones and hack into their bank accounts and hack into all of this and how it's so important to protect your digital footprint. And a lot of people don't realize that, but every time you go to a site, you're leaving a digital footprint. And so the kids were really excited about this, and also going back to what they just said with RCC about the gaming and how that is such a huge thing now, gaming, and children are really getting involved in that. Next slide, please. This is our collaboration with the Lumbee Tribe. The Lumbee Tribe donated 170 book bags to us, and they were full of various foods. They had a collaboration with Campbell Soup. And we were able to give these book bags to the kids. We didn't have enough for every child, so what we did with the items that we received from UNCP, we started off with those kids that had allergies. We wanted to make sure that we didn't give anybody anything that they'd be allergic to. So we were able to give them T-shirts and a different bag that we received from UNCP. And then this is our day at the Lumbee Tribe. And the chairman is talking to the students, and his big thing is going back to, he talks a lot about CCP, and he talks a lot about career and technical education and workforce development. And so that's some of the conversation he had with them. And we had one little gentleman that asked him, said he asked questions, and one wanted to know a little bit about the cultural center, how long had it been there. And then, of course, we had one little gentleman wanted to ask him if he was rich. So, and I said, yes, he is, and so are you. We need to think of richness in so many different ways. We're rich in our families, we're rich in our culture, we're rich in our knowledge. So yes, we are. Next slide, please. These are some of our cultural activities. You see our kids did beadwork and the pottery, and at the bottom you see the Three Sisters, which is our corn, bean, and squash. And these were just some of the hands-on activities that they did in the afternoon. Next slide. These are some additional activities here, and they're making dream catchers, and they're talking about why this is important. And everything that we're doing, we use the culture is not going to go away. It's part of who we are. But we use that, the culture drives our reading, our math, our science, is all embedded there. I mean, years ago, before the word architect was ever thought of, we were building longhouses. So the STEM piece is already there. So you see this, the kids are doing the activities. Next slide, please. We took our kids to Discovery Place, and they did not want to leave. They just enjoyed themselves immensely. And I love Discovery Place as an adult. It's just so much fun, and the kids just get so excited. And once again, it reiterates STEM. I remember the first time I went to Discovery Place, and I had to ride the bicycle until the hairdryer came on. And I didn't realize then, as a young person, how much energy it takes for your blow dryer. And so now when I'm in there using my blow dryer, I'm thinking my thing outside is just probably going around and around. So it goes back to STEM and getting them excited. Next slide, please. Some more pictures of Discovery Place, and we'll go on to the next one. And this is our county tour. If you are interested, I would love for all of you to take a county tour of Robeson County with our cultural enrichment specialist and myself, Mr. Kenny Clark. There's places that we go across this county that children have never heard of. They don't know the culture. They don't know why this is there. It is a wonderful opportunity. UNC has really jumped on this, and the chancellor has just about, he has a lot of his staff going on the county tours. So I would love for you, if you would like to reach out to us, and we would love to take you on a county tour and just share with you some of the highlights and stories that you may have never heard of, even though you've been living here forever. So the kids get excited about the county tour. And the next slide. In closing, our summer camp was awesome. I could go on and on. Our staff has talked about it was one of the best that we've had in a long time. And I think the reason it was so awesome is because, as I said earlier, when we don't have structure, we begin to miss it. And our children really miss the structure that they have. But I want to give some special thanks, especially to our office staff, our youth development specialists, our awesome teachers, our kids, the teachers we had did such a phenomenal job. To the staff at Pembroke Middle and Lumberton Junior, our cafeteria, the custodian, I just want to put a plug in. Our custodians are doing an awesome job. They've never had this many students to work with all during the summer, and trying to clean floors and working behind. They are doing a phenomenal job. I am just so thankful for the job that they're doing. Our district office personnel, I want to thank our superintendent and his support for our camp, and all of you for supporting our students. Our parents, our student, our vision workers, we had the best high school group of kids I think we've ever had. And then I really want to give a shout out to Miss Tammy Lockley, the school nurse. She really rocks. She is awesome. And we did have a situation, but she said we had all of our stuff together and it ran very smooth, and we're very proud of that. I'll end with this quote. It says, "Tell me and I'll forget, show me and I may not remember, involve me and I'll understand." That's what we're trying to do, involve our kids, give them the hands-on opportunities that they will remember and they won't forget. Thank you for your time, and thank you for allowing me to share.
Any comments or questions? Terry?
I have a quick question, Dr. Connie. How long was this camp again?
It was 3 weeks.
3 weeks. I was just looking at all those activities. It looked like you did quite a bit in 3 weeks. It looked like it was much longer than that. You've done.
We did, and I'm gonna say this, as most of you know, my dad passed away a couple of weeks before summer camp. And I was sitting at home planning summer camp during that time because I was like, oh God, it was coming right fast. But it was so wonderful to see the kids so excited. You know, I think all of us can witness and attest to the reason we do this work is because we love the children. And when they leave excited and want to come back next year to summer camp, that's what it's all about. That's worth all of it. So yes, it was 3 weeks.
Thank you, Dr. Connie.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening.
Good job.
Robert, the gentleman back there, is he part of it? Huh?
Mr. Lloyd Lockley,
He from,
West Point.
you want to recognize him?
You can.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been sitting there for 30 minutes long. I didn't know if you want to do that.
So Lord, how you doing? I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you. And thank you for being another sponsor for our Driven to Excel. We appreciate those wonderful items you gave the students for their dorm rooms and those comforters and pillows. So I know they're going to really enjoy them. But thank you for what you do every day for the schools of Robinson County. And Mr. Lloyd is a former teacher of mine at Magnolia. So thank you for being here, Mr. Lloyd. Thank you.
Have a whole look.
Good job.
Next item on the agenda is federal programs update by Jennifer Freeman and Dr. Wendy Dorsey Carr.
Good evening, Chairman Smith, Superintendent Williamson, and board members. Tonight, Dr. Carr and I will present an overview of federal programs for the 21-20 academic year. I like to refer to federal funding as the icing and sprinkles on the top of a cupcake. In other words, the funding supplements the needs of the students, the staff, and the community. And we put a very strong emphasis on community with family engagement. Annually, we conduct the comprehensive needs assessment. The assessment reviews data sources, and the data analysis identifies new or continuous goals. Currently, we have 3 continuous goals that I would like to share with you. Those goals continue. As I arrived 3 years ago, we had around 39 goals for federal programs. That was an impossible task to accomplish. So after much consideration, much data analysis, many meetings, many collaborative meetings with various stakeholders, we identified 3 goal areas that we want to talk about. That was to improve reading, improve math, and the multi-system tier of support, meaning MTSS. In other words, how do we support our students that are doing well in the core? And if we have a student that struggles, what do we do to help that student that is struggling? We also want to look at, after coming together, we actually had a group of individuals. We had our cabinet members, we had our district improvement team members, selected principals, school improvement team chairs that were selected. And after looking at the data and doing a data analysis, we have the following areas that we're actually going to support with federal programs. Again, think of it as the sprinkles on top of the cupcake as we're supplementing these services. This year, our district-wide initiatives will continue. Letterland, phonemic awareness, and the phonics programs, pre-K through 3. This year, we're adding pre-K. Previously, we did not use Letterland, we used Waterford. Now we're converting to pre-K because we want that seamless transition for our students into the phonics space. So that'll be new for us. This year, we're also adding our L teachers. When I began here in the previous years, we had approximately 1,600 L students, English language learner students. As of today, we have 1,926. So it is a growing population. And as a result of that, when we were data diving and looking at the data analysis, what we observed is we have some teachers that are teaching as many as 150 students. That is our ratio, 1 to 150. So with the leadership of the team and looking at the data, what we've done this year is we are actually going to be adding and paying for L teachers out of our Title I funding. And we'll be able to reduce our ratio from 1 to 150 to 1 to 70. So that is a big improvement, not where we need to be, but it is an improvement. So we'll be adding L teachers as well. We'll continue to work with our comprehensive support and improvement targeted schools, which Dr. Pearl will address briefly in the work that she's going to share with you. Title I pre-K, as we will continue to move forward with MTSS. And a very strong focus on McKinney-Vento. Unfortunately, during COVID, you can imagine what happened with our McKinney-Vento students or our homeless students. Some of those slipped through the cracks. So we've actually hired 2 social workers that are working diligently each day through the summer to find those students and to make sure that we're servicing those students the way that we need to serve them. Migrant education continues with Title I, Part C. A migrant student is a student who has moved the past 3 years. His parents or her parents are students that work in the U.S. agricultural field. We are funding a migrant program and also the migrant ed summer camp, which is a requirement that we do annually. I'll ask Dr. Carr to continue with Title II and how that's going to look for the upcoming year.
So based on those continued needs that we identified through those comprehensive needs assessment, in Title II, Letterland professional development will continue, but also you heard the new teacher support program is funded through here, but also TA to teacher. So you heard Ms. Erica talk about additional TA to teacher positions. It's being funded through Title II so that we can add those 5 additional TA for teachers. Also, we're continuing the reimbursement for licensure coursework and required testing, supporting national board certification so we can increase those numbers. Professional development on reading, so pre-K and through 5, because if you've heard a lot about the science of reading, it's starting with the pre-K. Also math, K-8, and as we know with the mental health needs, social emotional learning, lesson planning, pacing guides, small group instruction, feedback, PLCs, and leadership and assessments. So looking at the whole picture, what do you need to make sure that we can support those students in those reading and math areas? Also, of course, increase critical content area sign-on bonuses for fully certified teachers in the areas of K-6, EC, middle grades, high school science, math, ELA. So we know those areas we have hard to staff, so we're trying to help entice them to come to our district. In addition, we have K-2 literacy specialists, and of course, then we participate in the Sand Hills Regional Education Consortium training and NCAT opportunities throughout. So Title to really supports the professional development component that we do in the district. So Title III deals with our English language learner program. Of course, these are students that their first language was not English. And what we pay through that is our EL district lead teacher, L parent liaison, L teacher assistant, and a data management system to help us manage the data that we need to support our needs of our L students. Then we also have Title III immigrant. This is a growing population. These are students that are aged 3 to 21 that were not born in any state in the United States and that have not been attending one or more school in any one or more states for more than 3 full academic years. So what we're doing this year, we're going to continue our immigrant book bags, and we're going to also add some tutoring to support those immigrant students. And then Title IV is that student support enrichment component. This has to be funded in 3 areas: well-rounded education, safe and healthy schools, and use of technology. So for well-rounded education, we provide some support with arts teachers. We added additional social workers and counselors to think about those mental health needs that we have seen arise through Gaggle and different pieces. We also pay for the ACT boot camp that we do at the high schools. We help support ESL add-on licensure as needed, and then also Imagine Learning for the L to work on their language skills. With Safe and Healthy Schools, this is where we're paying for professional development, dealing with MTSS and PBIS, and also fund PBIS rewards. And previously, and what we're hoping to continue is our bullying and parent-student sessions to work on those areas that come up with Gaggle. And then, of course, we're going to help support the PSRC mental health initiative that I talked about last month with all those different pieces with like our social workers, mental health first aid, all that different training that we're providing to everybody to ensure they have the skill set to help support those needs of those students in the everyday classroom. And then use of technology, we'll continue with the technology champions to help support teachers as they're working with all that technology that is implemented through all the other federal funds that we're implementing this year. And that's all of it. Any questions for us about?
Any questions or comments? Henry?
You know the ratio of students we have in the EL program with as far as our staff, as far as teachers versus students?
The ratio?
Yeah. I know.
How many teachers per?
Right.
1 teacher for every 150 right now.
Wow.
And that's what we were saying earlier, that is a growing population, and we've recognized that need. And with recognizing that need, we actually have 2 L teachers now that are currently traveling, and 1 L teacher actually travels to 10 sites. So we've had a lot of discussion about what is the impact of that academically, what is the impact of that socially and emotionally for those students. So with all of that data and looking at that analysis, that is why we've looked at Title I funding those L positions. As you well know, there are certain ends of our county that actually have larger L populations. And what we tried to do recently was, when I first arrived, we had 21 teachers, but 6 of those teachers actually were subs. And in that second year when we consolidated, we went down to 15 state positions. Last year, we were able to grow back to 17. We tried various ways to get people to the L program, but what we ended up doing with Dr. Williamson's gracious leadership, we're able to partner this year with EPI. And we're also I just talked with David Long today, and we're looking at bringing back folks internationally because we actually tried internally recruiting. We actually added a $1,500 sign-on bonus this past year for through Title II. So we've tried many avenues. So we've looked at going through the partnership now to increase that number because the ratio is not effective.
Any other question? You got a follow-up?
Yeah. What's the McKinney-Bento, the homeless? Do we have many of those? And are all of them in Robeson County, or they're?
Currently, they are in Robeson County. We've averaged around 170 McKinney-Bento students. Through COVID, we have now 77. We've actually hired 2 social workers this summer to actually go out and look for that. We are actually going to employ a McKinney-Vento liaison representative, and we are actually looking at the work that that person will be doing, because that is that is an area that needs emphasis in our district, and especially as we continue to go through the COVID aspect of it, we want to make sure, because these students have many layers of needs, as all of our students do, but then you add more and more to those students when they're homeless. So it's very imperative that we work. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Super job.
Did you have, ma'am? This lady here, did she have? Okay, go ahead, Dr. May.
This is probably more of a clarification and question. In Title I, you had specific areas, the staff development, for lack of a better term, and reading and whatever you had. Okay, and I noticed we have a brochure in our packet that they're going to have open workshops now where we would attend. My question is about teachers. Will Title I prepay for teachers to go to workshops, like i.e. hotels if it's somewhere that they're going, or, registration? Because at one time, Title I was requiring teachers to pay up front, and teachers just don't have it to pay all that up front.
Title I, let me share with you, historically, Title I has evolved over time in terms of professional development. When I first arrived several years ago, Title I was able to support the registration and those pieces. However, because of changes at the state level, we are now told that we can no longer do the one-stop shop. It has to be continuous improvement. So we actually have talked to Dr. Roberts' department with Title II, and Robert, you can speak to that if you'd like to. Title II will be supporting those teachers in terms of registration, because unfortunately, Title I cannot continue to support that due to some unfortunate changes that have occurred at the state level.
We do, Doc, try to help with the registration.
Wait just a minute. So if I'm a teacher and I've been recommended to go to a workshop in, let's say, Raleigh, it is all on my dime that I got to pay for all this, except registration. You see, that's a problem for struggling new teachers. You understand? Because from what I see with this handout we have, they're going to have open workshops now, not just digital. So I guess that's my question, is how are we going to assist teachers, and especially those that we want to go for this specialized training, in taking care of the costs for them up front? See, we can't expect them to pay all that.
And if we are requiring, the district is requiring them to attend, then of course, yes. But like Ms. Freeman said, with the auditors and with our monitoring visit, we were cited for allowing teachers and staff members to just do that one trip, no follow-up. So we have to be very cautious of where we're allowing individuals to attend conferences.
Well, I think this is just my opinion, and I hope you would think about this. I think administrators need to know that before they say, you three, you go to the reading workshop, you two go there. Because you may have a teacher there that just simply can't afford $700 out of the pocket up front. You see what I'm saying?
I agree.
Previously, Dr. Manuel, what I can share with you with Title I, if my memory serves me correctly, we did, if it was requested by the teacher, we did pay for that up front, and that was pre-COVID. But I know during COVID, we've not had out-of-district travel, so everything has been virtual. So at this point, I do understand what you're saying, and I'm not sure how that would look in the future, Dr. Williamson, because of the COVID at this point, and that would be my question.
But they're opening it up somewhat, because the boards open up here. We have a flyer in our work pack that they're going to have open meetings, trainings.
I think that's evolving. It's not that every workshop or conference that's previously available is now. So we're evolving with that too, kind of seeing how that's going to go, because there are still some virtual opportunities out there. And it's something that is evolving.
But do you see my point? Even if it's not totally open, we can't expect young teachers to pay all this up front if you want them to go. See where I'm coming from?
So let me ask you,
Dr. Williams.
so really the question is, we can continue to prepay, pre-code ahead of time for a room and board that is not out of pocket, correct?
We just all have to be consistent in the types of workshops that we're paying for with the federal dollars. They have to be more strategically geared to.
Well, she had listed in hers, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you had listed reading and something, your goals.
The goals, are you talking about the three goals?
Yeah.
So the three goals overarch all of the federal programs. So
Yeah.
those are what we're working on. It doesn't matter if it's ESSER, if it's Title I, II, III, or
Yeah.
IV. We're working on always improving reading, math, and so
Right.
it can be paid out of whatever
So I will
funding
say
source
it
that's appropriate.
If I can.
Say it bluntly.
We can't send a lot of people and pay upfront for people to attend events that are in kind of hotspot areas like California, Florida, those areas that have historically been deemed as vacation areas. It has to have a
Oh, that makes sense.
focus on a reading, math, and core subject area material.
And the intent behind federal programs, and you know this well, Dr. Manuel, for Title I and any of the other fundings, Title II especially, the intent is for growth to occur during that year. So when you're looking at federal programs, if someone sees a trip in Las Vegas in May, March, or May, let's put it at the end of the year, or June, which is a hosting opportunity for people, Title I does not look favorably on that because, again, that's an enticement. But what I would like to bring everyone back to, although it's an improvement of goals, we also want to always tie this to the school improvement plan and school improvement planning and district improvement planning. It's very key that when principals are working with teachers and they identify those needs, that they look at their PDPs and make sure that their PDPs are also aligned in those areas, because then it's just not a hodgepodge, here that comes this workshop and I want to go to it. So there's a lot that goes into that under the umbrella of school improvement planning as well.
Randy, Randy have a question? Huh? You didn't? Okay.
So our method,
That can happen without having some discussions about the workshops themselves.
and so we're moving away from, and we'll continue, we're not gonna have 150 teachers out of our classroom. We're moving to train the trainer, which is part of our plan and strongly recommended by the state.
And also the science of reading, that, you know, we can elaborate on as well, which will directly align with our goal of improving reading. Because we've been focusing for the past 3 years, if you'll look up there with the Title I initiatives, we've been focusing for the past 3 years on the science of reading, because we realized very early on that that was where our need was, especially in the public schools of Robinson. And if you look at it historically across the state as well. But those foundational skills are going to be key. So you'll see that in Title I that we do refer to that often. And that is one thing we've also transitioned to Title I pre-K now actually supporting Letterland. And you will hear those teachers, but if it's a district-supported initiative, we will pay for that immediately up front for those teachers, not expect out of pocket.
Randy's got a question, Henry. We're gonna wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
Then Henry.
Is this action that we need to take tonight? None? Just information?
You got a question, Henry?
Yes, I guess I asked Dr. Williamson this question. Are we focusing to, you mentioned train the trainer, which I think is a unique way of doing it. Is that to come back and train other teachers? So you're gonna develop a full committee for that?
That's correct, because that's how we can sustain the work. And then that's one of the reasons you'll notice that we're adding academic coaches in all the buildings, is so that we can put in place train the model.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good job.
We'll move to the action items. First item is 2021-2022 Exceptional Children's Service Providers. LaTonya Burney.
Evening, Chairman Smith, Dr. Williamson, board members. I am requesting approval of related service provider contracts for the 2021-22 school year to ensure that our students receive their services as it relates to related services.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Grady, if you.
Go ahead.
I recommend, I make a motion that we approve these as stated.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the list. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is 2021-22 transportation contracts. Dr. Guzman.
Chairman Smith, Dr. Williamson, board members, tonight I come before you to ask for approval for the
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any discussion? Terry?
A quick question. Dr. Guzman, I know this is not directly related, but, for our bus drivers, how much do bus drivers make per hour?
That depends on their years of service, sir. Bus drivers can make anywhere from $12.70 on up, depending on years of service. There has been a lot of talk, not only with Dr. Williams, but myself, and some members of cabinet, that as other districts are in order to maintain our amount of drivers. I know I've received a text when in the county, or north increased their pay, so that's make sure that we're competitive and we don't lose drivers to New York.
If we can continue working on that, I sure appreciate it.
Mr. Jetcher?
What is the current student capacity on our buses?
That depends. Per DPI, all of the buses that we order can hold up to 72 students. Elementary holds 72 students, 60 for middle school, 48 is the capacity for high school students. However, and that's dictated by the state. However, all the buses that we order are up to 72 passenger buses. It's one of those things that we do have some older models in our fleet that are smaller, but as they age out, we replace those, and we are very diligent on making sure that our buses can hold the maximum capacity for those elementary students, follow the state guidelines.
Have we been released from the COVID restrictions?
No, not as of right now. However, we're awaiting some DHHS guidelines to come down to change that for.
So what percentage is capacity versus those numbers are we currently under?
Actually, we are keeping it 2 to a seat as of right now. However, operating under Plan A, we are able to put as many students as that bus capacity holds.
Okay, that was what I wanted to hear.
Dr. Guzman, I know right now you're probably doing speculation and in an alliance with CDC guidelines, but these transportation contractors, are we going to start increasing the amount of students that each band can haul at one time, or?
As the DHH guidelines change, we are planning on, hopefully as that goes forward in August, we'll be able to increase that to what it was pre-COVID. And similar, that's in lockstep with what you were asking, sir, when you operate under Plan A. To be quite honest, as I've said before multiple times in front of the board, there's no way you can truly social distance on a bus. If you did truly social distance on a bus, we would only have 9 students on a bus. So as the guidelines have changed, we're actually more stringent in our following while students are in session than other districts. Other districts, when they started to operate in August and September, actually followed the capacities of that's why it's so important, the language of which model we're operating, Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. That language dictates strongly what we have to follow as far as ours. We're fully anticipating, like my section chief, to have those lifted as we move forward to get closer in August.
All right, Randy, and then I got Dwayne.
I got a motion
And I got a
to
second.
approve.
Okay.
Well, before then, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Guzman, all of these individuals, we do know that their contract and license are up to par, correct?
Yes, ma'am, we follow that. I'm glad you bring that up. If I may clarify real quick.
Hold on a second. When he gets done, I call for a question.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, to answer your question, we do multiple times because of the amount of liability insurance our drivers must hold is varied based on the amount of students. So that's also for planning purposes that we are able to. Ms. Renette McQueen does a great job meeting and making sure that that's done, not only this time, but also at the beginning of the year and prior to the year, starts for the school year, to ensure that we are compliant, and it states clearly in their contract that they must provide that information.
Okay. Call for the question by Dwayne, and we have a second by Randy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the budget amendments 2020, 2021. Ms. Erica, if that's. Go ahead.
Ms. Erica, do you have anything?
Can I answer any questions anybody has about what was provided in your packet?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion by Dwayne, second by Randy.
And y'all want the second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion passed. Next item is the monthly financial report.
Ms. Erica, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I think Mr. Terry.
All right, when he does, then I got a motion to approve.
Okay.
Go ahead, Terry.
I just have a quick question, it's related to the assistant principals that we're discussing later on, I guess, in our closed session. And my question is about the sustainability of that. I know that they're going to be you're using ESSER funds, I guess.
Yes, sir.
And what is the plan for after that? And also, so if
That's included.
Let's.
Say that for closed session.
Let's not put the cart before the horse.
you're going to let me ask it in closed session because it's not directly related to
Can't ask it in closed session, but when we come back out here,
Okay.
follow up on it,
Okay.
depending on what happens in closed session.
Okay, thank you.
Have a motion by Dwayne, second, huh?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Item, Mr. Grady added to the agenda, the Baker Donaldson attorneys out of Washington DC. Just relates to FEMA.
The FEMA appeal, Mr. Lowry actually polled the board for engaging Baker Donaldson. We have engaged him on our FEMA appeal, which is actually due August the 10th. Just ask the board to formally approve that engagement.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Make such move, motion. Second.
One question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Grady, is it okay to let them know why we're having to do this?
Yeah, so FEMA has denied essentially our request for the funding that we had requested, which I think was $89 million. They came back and offered us $4.5 million thereabouts. So, we're in a position where we do one or two things. Take the $4.5 million and go away, or appeal FEMA's determination, which is what we're doing now. And we're having, just to kind of let the board know where that's at, we're having weekly telephone conferences with the State Emergency Management, with SFLNA, with Baker Donaldson, Superintendent, myself, and you were, McElwain was on this morning. So we're having weekly weekly phone conferences, or really it's Zoom meetings, at 10:30 Tuesday every week. We've got a set time through the appeal process. And depending on what happens with the appeal, there's either a second appeal opportunity or an arbitration. So, we're in it for the long haul. I don't think we've got a choice.
That's where we need to be.
I agree. Erica, do you have Erica had
I stood up in case there were questions.
okay.
Mr. Grady, could you just add, some people might look at this and say, well, why are you hiring a firm to do this? Could you just add why we had to get into this, as I think of specialized,
Yeah, it
does this kind of work?
we call it in the profession of boutique practice. There's not but a handful of folks doing this, and I'll tell the board the background and going with Baker Donaldson. On one of our conference calls, we had asked, somebody had suggested that the state provide us the list of the folks that were doing this. And so before I got that list over the weekend, on a Friday evening, one of the last things I did that day leaving the office, or that night actually, was to send out an email to all the local government attorneys in the state that's on the listserv saying, okay, we've got this FEMA determination. We need to appeal it. Who do you recommend? Well, what a first person that responded back to me was a person that had just left FEMA, that had been part of FEMA for 5 years, and he immediately recommended Baker Donaldson. The Donaldson and the Baker Donaldson actually is a former general counsel to FEMA. And lo and behold, when I went back and looked at the state's list, which I hadn't done before that point in time, the first name on their list was Baker Donaldson. So I think we kind of hit a sweet spot. And actually, the Danielle, the lead attorney that's on this, is actually just getting back from about an 8-month, I think, deployment in Iraq, Afghanistan. And this is her first matter since she got back off of her deployment. So been an interesting ride so far with these folks, and I think we're in pretty capable hands.
Dwayne?
One question, and I'm assuming all this is affiliated, or the majority of it, help me out here, it's all affiliated with Hurricane Matthew.
It's all affiliated with Matthew.
Okay, so in other words, all Matthew, and it was 89.5 mil.
Somewhere around there.
Okay, and now they want to offer us 4.5.
Right.
And,
Got no other choice but to fight.
and the reason I was doing that, so that way out there, and probably people here would know why we're having to do what we're having to do. Why are they hiring an attorney to do what? You know, so with all due respect, that's.
And the best information we got today, or some of the best information we got today, is that at least up until this point, we had been told that our cost we couldn't recoup our cost. But on this morning's call, we definitely couldn't recoup cost in arbitration. But in appeals, it's very possible to recoup cost if we win. So that's good news. In other words, whatever we spend, if we're successful in the long run, we've got a great opportunity of getting that money back.
And if anybody wants to get on that list, we'll be glad to include you. They meet about every Tuesday about
10:30.
10:30. Approximately supposed to meet for about an hour. So some of y'all is retired or whatever your status is, if you want to get on the list, let me know, let Dr. Williamson know, and we'll be glad to give you that link or make it possible for you to contribute. Mr. Gentry.
And this is follow up, Mr. Gray, to what you were just saying about cost. And you may have related this in your email, but what is their fee structure?
Their fee structure, it goes from $200 to $605 an hour, depending on who we use in that firm. So some of them we don't want to talk too much, and some of them we don't mind talking to. But that's their fee structure, from $200 to $605, depending on who's doing the work. The attorneys are somewhere in the $350 to $605 range.
So that could vary from day to day, depending who's working, or we'd be working with the same one every day?
Well, we know that Danielle is going to be the one that we're mostly dealing with. And her fee is somewhere in the $375, I think, and I'm kind of trying to remember, an hour.
One more question. So if we have a hurricane that comes through this year, FEMA usually comes through, am I correct?
Yes.
But we don't want them here.
Well, no, we do. We just don't want what they offer us.
Yeah.
It's like you're keeping them up.
Well, what we learned from Matthew, we've implemented flood insurance, so which is why we don't have to have that FEMA presence for Florence and the other storms after, because we did what they told us to do and got that coverage. So we've been made whole by our insurance policies and not having to rely on FEMA.
Good deal. Good. All right. I'm good. To approve.
Make a motion. Second.
Second.
Have a motion by Dwayne, second by Mr. Gentry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next. It says closed session certified. We got the motion.
I'm ready. I'm waiting on you.
Let's do it.
I move that the Board of Education for the Public Schools of Robinson County go into closed session for the purpose of discussing certified and classified personnel, North Carolina General Statute 43-318.11A1 and 6, student transfers, NC General Statute 115C-402, and North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A1, and to consult with the attorney retained by the board in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the Board of Education for the Public Schools of Robinson County, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A13.
Have a motion going to closed session.
Second.
Motion by Randy, second by Brenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Right.
Out of here.
Don't forget to turn your closed session
Motion to come out of closed session.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Vontae, second by Henry. Out of closed session.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
motion that we accept the transfers so stated in closed session.
Do transfer. Have a motion by Henry, second by Vontae. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Mr. Chair, also make a motion that we accept the personnel list movements as listed
As amended.
with the two amendments that was added.
Second.
Have a motion by Henry, second by Vontae. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then,
Move approval of closed session minutes.
They have closed session. Move to a closed session by Brenda. Second. Second by Randy. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
and then, Mr. Chairman, I do want to announce that as a transfer under the authority of the superintendent, we're going to transfer Mr. Andrew Davis, who presently works as our social studies supervisor. He will replace Dr. Darlene Cumming as the director of curriculum and instruction on a transfer. And then also, on the same authority as a transfer, to transfer Mr. Justin Dow from assistant principal at Fremont to the principal at Rosenwald.
Okay?
Board, go ahead and approve both of those because of the salary changes.
Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion by Brenda, second by Vontae to approve those recommendations because there is a salary change. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, no more discussion. I make a motion that we adjourn.
I have a statement. Can I make a statement before your motion? When we have a vacancy, just like we may have a principal vacancy or we may have some other vacancies, I'm just wondering what the process would be. Will you open it to start interviewing again, Mr. Superintendent? Or will you just interview it for new applicants?
We're probably, if that does develop, we'll probably advertise and try to generate another pool of candidates for that. Yes, so we'll advertise, go from there.
Dwayne?
Like to second Mr. Henry's motion.
Okay. Got a motion to adjourn by Henry, second by Dwayne. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.